Shooting in Florida, as you just heard, lasted 6 minutes while this armed school resource officer ran to the building and stood outside for 4 minutes as the students and teachers were killed inside. A disturbing revelation sparking questions around here about how local school resource officers are trained. 7 News anchor Diane Lee joins us with more on that. Diane.
Yeah, well, Gordon, as investigators look into why that officer in Florida failed to respond, here in our area, resource officers are making sure the public knows you can count on them.
For any parent, it may be hard to imagine how an officer trained to protect your kids failed to respond. For Dale Lowry, who had a son that died from a gunshot wound, it strikes an even deeper chord.
I couldn't just stand around and watch children be killed or listen to them scream and shots ring out and I've got a gun in my hand and I don't go do anything. No, I cannot understand that.
Y'all have a good day.
Landrum School Resource Officer James Sheehan says without question he knows his training would kick in.
If there were an active shooter on campus, what's the first thing you would do?
I'm going to him. I'm going to stop the threat.
And I feel extremely safe, and I know that if some situation, God forbid, ever to happen at our school like that, that Officer Sheehan would be the first one to make sure that he's there, he's responding to the situation.
When an officer becomes a school resource officer, they must undergo an additional 2 weeks of training, usually with the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. And that does include active shooter scenarios and how to respond.
And Sheehan says that's reinforced by ongoing annual training.
They take you through different scenarios. The shooter could be, in a room that's just barricaded off and he's stuck inside that room. He could be mobile throughout the building or the school, or he could have a hostage.
Ultimately, it's up to each law enforcement agency to develop a response plan for resource officers. We couldn't find one in the upstate where step one wasn't to locate and stop the threat.
I know you're risking your life, but actually that's what he's paid to do. I would have done it for free if I had to. If I'd have got shot in the process, so be it.
What it really comes down to in any one of these situations is no matter how much training that officer has had, it's about that individual and how they respond.
I mean, this Deputy Peterson in Florida had been awarded for his work as a school resource officer in the past. And it strikes me there are so many people who say, well, here's what I would do.
Right.
But I guess until you're in that situation, how can you ever really know?
Yeah, we don't know. And I'm sure through this investigation we'll learn a lot more about his state of mind at the time.
Yeah, I guess so. Diane, thank you.